Hi. So I guess first talk after the keynote. Thanks, JML, for the intro. Thanks for the little rundown into Atlassian Connect. I know I've met quite a few of you before, either at Ship It yesterday, maybe at Summit a couple of years ago. But if we haven't met, my name is Seb Ruiz. I've been on the Stash team for a little while, and I've just moved over, and I'm going to talk to you today about integrations, extensions in our products, and introduce you to Atlassian Connect. So, as JML already said, we've had this fantastic platform for building plugins into our products for the last 5-10 years. That's known as plugins 2, I'm going to call it P2. And it started out as this little sort of framework that we used internally to prototype our own little features. And then we would ship them out to our customers, and we would allow us to iterate quickly, to deploy updates. And as that framework sort of built, as we used it internally, we realized, hey, it's become quite a stable platform. Why can't we open that up to you? And I guess that's why you guys are here today. You can write plugins and your add-ons on this framework, and that's really, it's been fantastic. And one thing to notice is that I'm sure that you can all appreciate that building an add-ons framework for a product suite as deep and as broad as Atlassian's products it's a really hard problem. It's really hard. But I think we've done a really good job of it. So what's it let us do? It's let us build new plugins, deploy customer value quickly, and upgrade those really easily through the marketplace. And we have this huge ecosystem. Look, there are 150 of you guys here. There are even more people out there writing add-ons. So what are we trying to do? We need to take our plugins framework and evolve it to the next level. Our plugins framework, plugins at the moment, as you know them, can't be deployed into our on-demand offering. And that's something that you guys have wanted to do for ages. It's something that we want to do, and we want to allow you to do that. And more than anything, our customers, they're begging us, hey, why can't I install this plugin into on-demand? Hey, but if I install it myself, I can do it. And there's no good reason, really, except, and I'll get to why there's a good reason. But really, we've been thinking about this problem for a long time. It's been 18 months. We've been thinking, all right, how do we solve this problem? There have been ups and downs. We've been prototyping. We've released some things. But today, I'm here to talk to you about how we're leaving the research phase of this project, and now our goal is to get you, our beloved add-on developers, to shipping add-on contents into on-demand. So, plugin system, it's been great. It's been fantastic. It is great. It's been 5 years of joy. It's not going away, but we need to think 3, 5, 10 years into the future. And so that's what we're here to do today. What happens with our on-demand instance? We have 24,000 instances at the moment. What's that going to look like in 5 years? 50,000, 100,000, more, millions, who knows? But in order to understand why the current plugin framework isn't going to work into on-demand, let's have a quick look at how the architecture works. So your plugin that you write in Java gets bundled as a jar, and it gets deployed into a product container. So that could be Jira, it could be Confluence, it could be Stash, and it's running in process. Now, we would have loved if you had only used our APIs. Right? So we have these wonderful APIs, but because you're in process, it's really easy to use everything. And I've done it. I do it all the time. I write plugins all the time, and I cheat. I go to the unstable APIs, so the interfaces, because they're easy to use, right? And it's there. It's right there. It's so easy. But who has ever been burned by this? All right? So plugin, unsupported plugin API disappears. It's gone. What happens to your plugin when you upgrade? It's gone. It blows up. You guys all know what I'm talking about, a new release of Jira, a new release of Confluence, and suddenly you're scrambling back to your IDEs and you're thinking, oh no, why did I do this? But they didn't say it wasn't supported, so I assumed it was supported. And then we all look bad, right? It doesn't work. So imagine a world, actually you don't have to imagine, this is the world, where we have our on-demand offering, we have 24,000 instances, and we're deploying updates and upgrades every week or every 2 weeks, maybe every few hours. What happens as we change those unstable APIs and those internal implementations? Your plugins and our plugins, which we're building, are just falling all over the place. So I'm sure you can imagine that it's just not going to work. So as we think into the future, we don't know what's going to be there in 10 years, all right? I'm going to do a little quiz just to make sure you're all listening. Who in the last year has developed anything and not used Java? You're all lying if you haven't put up your hands. I know it. I have. No. I was on the plane and I wrote a Ruby app. You know, for ship it, I don't use Java. It's quicker. I think what we've come to the realization of is that you don't need to be constrained to the technology choices that we make with Atlassian. We've chosen Java and Maven and our OSGI plugin framework, and that works really well for us. They were the right decisions for us, but are they the right decisions for you, the right technical constraints? That is up to you to decide. So part of this really is, what we realized is that in our work with you and opening up the plugins framework to you as add-on developers, we've actually introduced a software anti-pattern into that relationship, which is quite an interesting concept, and that's coupling. The only good coupling, if you've seen the TV show, I recommend you, the UK one, not the American one, so the problem with coupling really is that it ties you to us, and it ties us to you. There's this handcuff, there's this pulling to and fro, and none of us can really escape from that. Until today, really. So I'm going to introduce to you Atlassian Connect. Now, Atlassian Connect it's here to abolish that restriction, that tight coupling. How do we get rid of it? So we now know the problems that we've got with plugins 2, and let me explain to you how Atlassian Connect is going to change that and fix it. So to begin with, we have a distributed model. Unlike plugins 2, where your plugin runs in process, you'll choose the environment and you'll choose the location that your add-ons run in. That means the following. It means that because your code is not going to be running inside the plugin container in the process of the app, you'll choose where it runs, which means that it's going to be it'll be really easy to make it multi-tenant friendly. That means you've got many instances using your one service. And then that add-on will get registered against on-demand instances. Think about it. If you need to scale, and if we need to scale to 25, tens of thousands of instances, you need a way to plug that in on a scalable way. So how do you do that? I said that you can write code however you like. Use the development toolkits that you want to do, right? If you look at the communities out there at the moment, we've got Ruby with Rails, we've got Python, Django, Node with Express. There are really great Java technologies as well. There's Groovy, there's Scala, there's the Play framework. And all of these will let you write code in a scalable and a growing manner, in a horizontal way. You can deploy these to existing platform containers such as Heroku, Google App Engine, EC2, and they're all free, right? They're really cheap and free at the beginning. Validate what you're building, and as you scale, these platforms and these technologies will just scale with you. The OSGI system and the current system won't scale in that manner because it's built for a very different purpose. So Atlassian Connect has got another objective as well, and that's going to be to streamline how you inject your content into our product pages. So there'll be simple things. There'll be links, web items. We'll do product-specific content, such as I want to create a macro for my Confluence page, or I want to create an issue transition function after it gets closed. All of these things will tie into the framework. But as somebody who has written a plugin many times in my life, I think we all, and I definitely recognize that there is a need to create rich content. You want to have a complex DOM, you want to have good interactions, you want to create and decorate pages. So we're doing that by implementing a seamless iframe approach. So what that means is the content will be hosted by your product, embedded into our pages. It'll be totally seamless. You won't even notice, the customer won't notice that the content is not being hosted inside of Jira or Confluence. Now, by seamless, I mean, we'll be doing a whole bunch of nice things like automatically scaling content sizes when it changes, when you dynamically refresh the content. So the iframes give us another really valuable component, which is sandboxing. So sandboxing is a mechanism to allow us to get a secure and stable interface into our pages so that you can augment them without worrying about things breaking. So I guess decorating a page is only half the work when you write an add-on. We're going to be backing all of the Atlassian, or we already have backed the Connect framework with REST. So all of our APIs are stable. We're going to be building REST APIs so that you can interact with the product. What we've learned over the last year is that our products are not just used by users, right? We're not just all people interacting with the product through the web UI, clicking on buttons and going to URLs, but they function as platforms as well. So a really solid REST interface will allow us to, and will allow you to scale up your add-ons to interact with a prescribed interface against our products. We really have this commitment to growing these REST APIs. You've been asking for them. Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? I need to work around that. I need to create a plugin to create a REST endpoint because you haven't given it to me, etc. All of that, we're going to handle for you. Now, on the way back, we've implemented webhooks. So a webhook is a very simple concept, and it's analogous to a really powerful model in the Plugins 2 framework, which is the event subscription, event listening. A webhook allows you to subscribe to an interesting event in the product. For example, I've transitioned my issue in Jira, or a blog was created in Confluence. How do I, as a remote add-on, as in my cloud somewhere else outside of the container, know that this has happened? So the webhook is really just an asynchronous blob of JSON, and that's going to give you all the information that you need to know about the event, and then you can handle it in your add-on. So to quickly summarize what I've just spoken about, Atlassian Connect is going to let you do the following things. You'll be able to render a secure and sandbox interface in our products. You'll be able to relay contextual information to the products and retrieve from it using stable REST APIs. And you'll be able to respond to important product lifecycle events with webhooks. So I'm going to give you a very quick example of how that might work in practice. So here you can see, hopefully you can see, is a standard Jira issue page, and I want to augment it. I want to plug my add-on into this page because that's what I want to do. I'm going to show you here, this is my add-on. It's showing a progression of the issue workflows in Jira. So you can see my progress. I've already arrived and I'm now giving my talk. It's a seamless iframe. So that little cloud in the corner denotes that all of this content is not actually in Jira. It's somewhere else. And it doesn't matter because it looks the same because I've conformed to the design guidelines, which are wonderful to work with. And the Connect framework makes it appear like it's just in Jira. So what happens when I, as a user of this add-on, wants to click on this button? So I want to finish my talk. I'm ready to go and drink beer. I'm going to click on it. Click on that button. My add-on will then call a REST endpoint, which is provided by the framework through Jira, and it's going to send that off to Jira. So, hey, Jira, transition my issue for me. Here are all my details. That endpoint, that REST connection is going to be secured. It's going to be signed by OAuth. So Jira knows that I'm the one who's actually requested the event. What's really important to note here is that my add-on and all of the interactions in that cannot actually break out of its page. So I couldn't fake my way out and find an element in the page and fake a JavaScript event to transition the issue another way. I have to go through the prescribed REST endpoints. Now, this might seem a little bit more difficult to work with, but we're going to build these up together, and it's going to be much better for all of us in the long term. Cool, so issued my REST request, the response comes back, my add-on can then respond to the event and can update itself as it needs to. So now somebody else down the road decides, oh, you know, I think Seb's had enough beer, and it's time for him to go home. And that person's just going to go into the Jira app and just transition the issue without going through my add-on. My add-on needs to know that this has happened so it can update its state. When it was registered, it said, hey, Jira, whenever you get an issue transition, tell me about it. So the button gets pressed, transition, webhook gets sent back to my plugin, or to my add-on, and the add-on can then update itself as it needs to. All right, so we're thinking now, or if I'm in your head, I'm thinking, okay, that sounds pretty cool, but there is a hosted service, there is REST, there is iframes, there are webhooks, there's OAuth. There are all these moving parts. And yes, there are. But this is intentional. They're all modular and componentized, which means that it's really easy for us to make stable APIs. It's really easy for us to test them. And it's very easy for you to test them as well. It means that you can have comfort when we upgrade our products in OnDemand and behind the firewall that things are not going to break. And it also means that when you update your add-ons, we don't have to worry about it. So this coupling of, hey, can we, add-on vendor, I want to upgrade, Atlassian, no, you have to wait, I have to test it, blah, 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 it disappears. It's all gone, right? Which means because the code that services your add-on is running, you control it, you control all of it, you can do what you like with it. You can deploy bug fixes, you can deploy updates as often and as early as you like. Think of how much your customers are going to love that. So I'm sure you're all on your laptops, if you have Wi-Fi, riding home to your bosses, to your dev teams, maybe to your partners saying, guys, we've got to drop everything, can't wait, Atlassian Connect is coming, you've got to read up about it, I'll let you know when it's coming. But I'm going to tell you, you can actually do this today. So we have a public beta available right now so that you can actually start writing Atlassian Connect add-ons. And what are you going to get? I guess that's a good question. We've got a pretty comprehensive documentation space. JML showed you that title slide before. It gives you how-tos. It gives you tutorials. It gives you code snippets. It's got interactive things to let you explore what's available in the Connect framework. We've also built a number of integration points in Jira and Confluence, so you can start using the Connect framework. So Jira 6 and Confluence 5.1 are already Confluence Connect enabled, so you can get started today. As I said before, you have the luxury of writing a Connect add-on in whatever framework and whatever development tools you like. So to help smoothing that transition, we've chosen Node.js and the Play framework, and we've written some client libraries to help you get there. So these tools will smoothen a lot of the process. They're going to remove boilerplate code for you. They'll help you register your add-on. They'll do key pair generation for the signing of requests. They'll help you integrate your design guidelines as well with AUI. We're here to help remove as many of those problems from you. And as well as that, the final piece of the puzzle is, okay, I'm writing this add-on, but how do I get it to my customers into OnDemand? So the natural place there is Marketplace. So we also have beta Marketplace integration for Atlassian Connect for Atlassian Connect add-ons. That's going to let you do the following things. Standard listing your add-ons. You'll be able to license your add-ons via subscription because we're in OnDemand. It's also going to add this really, it's a pretty cool feature known as side loading. So side loading allows you to do three things. One is internally do developer testing. You want to have an add-on which is published on the marketplace and hosted and is live, but you only want to have access to it yourself so other people aren't messing around with it. The second is you may want to run an internally available remote add-on and you don't want to make it public. And thirdly is you might want to do a private beta. So we'll have a token distribution mechanism so you can say, hey, yeah, you can try my beta if you give me feedback, or you can try my beta. So let me just give a quick run through of how that process works in OnDemand. So the first thing we're going to do is list our add-on. We're going to just click on the button, exactly the same process that works today. I'll upload not a jar, but a descriptor file. It's just a file. That then Marketplace will extract out all the important information. It will know the key and the name as standard, and it will know that it's an Atlassian Connect add-on. So as JML said, the Connect terminology is only really between us. A user is not going to care that it's called, only that it's available in OnDemand. We'll go through our subscription billing, so you can set your pricing. That's recurring per month, as it is in OnDemand. That'll get approved, because things just, get approved. And then we'll have our Marketplace integration. So you can purchase or trial. You can view your OnDemand add-on, try it out. And you can also view it in the Marketplace in product. So I'm in Jira. I go to the Marketplace and scroll down to the bottom. Hey, there's the Taskmaster add-on. It's only $5 a month. Sweet. I'm going to trial it. And then I'm going to trial it. It gets downloaded automatically into my instance. It gets registered, sorry. There's nothing really to download. And then I need to handle the licensing. So the licensing takes me back to my console on my.atlassian.com. It tells me, hey, $5, so my pricing's gone up from $30 a month to $35 a month. Sweet, I'm getting awesome value. $5 is nothing. And then I'm saying, sweet, let's take that license and pull it back into my instance. That goes back to Jira, gets the license, and we're, hey presto, licensed to use my Taskmaster add-on. How easy is that? So I guess whenever we talk about beta frameworks, there's this underlying tone of, well, what's coming up? What are you doing? What makes it a beta and why is it not ready? Importantly, and really importantly, is we're going to be doing lots of releases. We're going to release early, we're going to release often, and we're going to have clear communication about deprecation cycles and what's changing. It's really important for us to have good feedback, to have a tight loop between you guys as you're raising issues, you're raising bugs, you're raising feature requests. Hey, I need to do this in Jira. I need to do, there's this bug in Confluence, which means I can't register, blah, blah. We're all developers. We know how this works. As I said before, our priority here is allowing you to ship your add-ons in OnDemand. So we're going to do everything we can do to help you get there. If you don't tell us about the things you need, it's going to take longer. So what are we planning on doing during this beta, as we're doing releases? Well, it's going to be many, many, many more plugin integration points. Integration points, extension points, new APIs, stable APIs for REST and for webhooks. And, nice little feature, don't tell anyone, well, you can tell anyone, is developer tools for Marketplace. I really dislike going into the Marketplace to upload my add-on. We're going to give you command line tools to automatically register Marketplace add-ons, to update them, so you can pull all of that release process for your add-ons and also include your Marketplace integrations too. So things are always changing. Let's not kid ourselves. I'd like to just make a note that, as we work on this evolving framework, there are pieces of the puzzle which are going to be changing. So some of those things I've got listed. So firstly, the Marketplace descriptor, it currently uses an Atlassian plugin XML. We don't think they're really a good fit, taking your plugin XML and using that for the Marketplace. So we're going to replace that with a more appropriate descriptor. We're not exactly sure what that's going to look like, but we'll help you. We'll either write a tool that will automatically update them for you and help you update your descriptors. The elephant in the room is Atlassian plugin XML. I don't know how many of you love the Atlassian plugin XML. I don't think I've anyone tell me that they do. So we're really considering a replacement. We need to think about the problems that we're going to have, or the problems that we're trying to solve for the future. And whereas I think that we've always been thinking in this mindset of graceful degradation. How do I take my plugin and make sure it works on something old? It's going to be we as products have got the opposite problem. We need to think about graceful enhancement. As you guys are building your add-ons, delivering more value, we need to be able to handle those upgrades in a seamless way. We don't want you to be going through and doing all this mess to make sure you can deliver your updates to customers. So we're going to consider a new way of deploying Atlassian Plugin XML with a new system to help solve those problems. We'll also have new permissions and authentication. So part of the plugins framework and Connect is really focused on security. If you're saying that you can only do these things, then our customers need to be really convinced that that's okay. They're going to give us permissions to work with our data. And finally is sandboxing. So I spoke about sandboxing with iframes. We believe that there may be better approaches to sandboxing on particular component levels. So instead of a dialogue using an iframe, there might be a better approach there. So we're investigating some ways to reduce that friction, to make it easier to write add-on code. But as all of these things change, you don't need to worry about it because we are going to be communicating all of these changes to you. And there'll be really clear deprecation cycles and documentation. So what do we do after our beta? When you guys can start releasing your add-ons into OnDemand, the full cycle, we're going to start working on delivery to HipChat and Bitbucket. So JML mentioned that. You know, there are so many opportunities for integrating our products and integrating your products, your add-ons with our products as well. We haven't forgotten about behind the firewall plugins. It's really a very important part of our business and your business is delivering your plugins and add-ons to on-premises installations. Now, there's nothing in the Atlassian Connect framework which precludes it from being used in behind the firewall. We just have a little bit of work to do to figure out how the communication works between REST and with all the firewalls that are in place, you know, behind the firewall. And once we've solved those problems, we'll let you know how to proceed. And then we're just going to keep on evolving. We're going to be building more product features. They're all going to be based out of REST. They're all going to be accessible to you, more integration points, more APIs. And what do we need from you? Well, we need you to write add-ons. We want you to write add-ons. We want you to see how this is going to change the delivery of value to our customers, and so that you can capitalize on the tens of thousands of customers that we have in OnDemand. So we need your feedback in order to iterate. So I've said this before, please let us know. And we're going to be deploying these upgrades to OnDemand as soon as possible. So there are just a few resources which will be around. So we have 4 things. We have mailing list on Google Groups. We have Jira issues, documentation, and our source. So it's all open source. Our remotable plugins framework on Atlassian Connect is all open source. We've already had some contributions from some of you in the audience. The URLs, it's just go.atlassian.com/ac dev jira docs and source. So it should be fairly straightforward, but if you need that list later, they'll be around. So finally, I'd just like to say thanks for listening, and that there are a whole bunch of us from Atlassian Connect around. Please come and approach any of us for questions. Like, I know that there are a lot of business questions, there are a lot of technical questions, so there's always a better forum than right now on the stage. So thanks very much.